Driving all those.
Yeah. Pull up one of the 5-gallon buckets and there.
Did 1, 2, but I've been doing it myself.
County Council meeting now in session. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First District, David Ham. Second District, Ronald Brewer.
Here.
Third District, Charlie Brown. Fourth District, Pete Lindemotor.
Present.
Fifth District, Christine Sid.
Present.
Sixth District, Ted Buskey.
Here.
Seventh District, Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
We have a quorum. Charlie's not online. No. Okay, this time we will open a public hearing on the resolution. Notice of adoption and substance, resolution of Lake County Council establishing an economic revitalization area and a public hearing. Okay, we'll now open up the public hearing portion.
Madam Chairman?
Anyone? Go ahead.
If I could, if we could have the record reflect that this meeting was advertised twice in 2 papers of general circulation. Most recent being on Friday, and the one prior to that, 10 days prior to the meeting. At least 10 days prior, was actually more. Also, the statute requires that the various taxing units be made aware of the public hearing. I personally served notice of it on the County of Lake, on Eagle Creek Township trustee, Lowell Public Library, the city, or I'm sorry, the town of Lowell, and the Lake County Solid Waste District, which are all the taxing units affected by this. If I didn't say school, I meant the school town,
Cool.
not the city of town of Lowell, because it's not in Lowell, the Lowell Tri-Creek schools.
Right. Okay, so anyone in the audience for or against, please come up now, state your name.
So Matt, can I talk about it first or?
Good day. My name is Dr. Andy Anderson, Superintendent of the Tri-Creek School Corporation in Lowell, Indiana. The purpose of my speaking today is for making a plea to the council of ensuring that the local school district will be a part of a structured tax benefit of the economic revitalization area. As we know, local property tax revenue stays local. For schools, this local property tax pays for the building, repairing, and maintenance of our schools. Local property tax pays the heat, the cooling, the lighting of our schools for the kids. Then there's insurance, cybersecurity, and buses that serve the entire southern third of Lake County, encompassing 179 square miles. That is not cheap, because we then turn around and pay for the payroll of our bus drivers, custodians, support staff, and other key personnel, all from local property tax. The state has taken away a large degree of local control of government in Indiana. I substantiate this statement with the following facts. 1, the state of Indiana, not local government, implemented a circuit breaker on our local property tax. This will deplete $1.8 million to the Tri-Creek School Corporation this year of 2026. 2, the state of Indiana, not local government, capped the maximum amount of our local school levy, and by doing so, in essence, added another level of circuit breaker. 3, the state of Indiana, not local government, took away local control of school referendums by when they may be held and how the ballot question will be written, which we all know is not in favor of schools. 4, the state of Indiana, not local government, passed a law allowing for residential TIFs. As a result, our local town of Lowell has now captured millions of dollars in personal residential property tax from 9 new subdivisions. That money would have certainly helped Tri Creek Schools deal with the $250,000 increase in our utilities this year. We are not a large school district. That is a significant amount on our budget. It would have helped to offset the cost of all of our operating expenses that have skyrocketed, just as it has happened to all of you at the county level. I know that the town of Lowell and that the county have all been negatively impacted by Senate Enrolled Act 1. Schools, though, can run a referendum, but is that really going to happen in Lowell when our utility costs and the new taxes that are on the horizon? If and when you raise taxes or assess additional taxes, you can do that, but schools can't. And in essence, that almost creates a double standard. In the meantime, Tri Creek Schools has cut dozens of staff, increased class sizes to the maximum levels, and purged several instructional materials to operate as lean as possible and still deliver to the Lowell community a national blue ribbon school along with schools in the top 10% of our state. Public schools have been hung out to dry. The record funding that you may have heard about in the news is true, but that additional money is going to private and charter schools, not public education. In summary, for the Tri Creek School Corporation, we have been failed by our state for the taking away of local control of our local property taxes. And quite honestly, it has happened to you as well with Senate Enrolled Act 1. If you think state government is going to fix this situation anytime soon, just look at the track record. The residential TIF is the second major blow to our source of revenue. Tri Creek Schools will not be able to make payroll within the next 4 years, putting us at cash reserves in the danger zone just 1 year from now. Please, as industry comes into the area, don't forget about your local school district that has no referendum money at all and is on the verge of collapse. Standing in a, quote, soup kitchen line, so to speak, to request a pass-through of funds on a yearly basis is not a solution. Just like you, we have short-term and long-term planning. So please don't treat our kids, our youth, and educators as leftovers or afterthoughts in promoting economic development. I respectfully ask for you to use your local control to make school-friendly decisions. Thank you for hopefully understanding my frustration as a school leader, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak? Matt, did you want to, or go ahead, you can come up.
Hold on, we have another speaker.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Lorraine Bank. I'm a South County resident. I'm a friend of Rosie's, and I'm here to represent myself. This John Deere development is very near my place of residence. I don't have a problem with the actual development that's going on right now, but I do have a problem with how whole economic system is being developed. Nancy Frigo was a realtor that sold the property to John Deere, and she told me in the beginning that they never asked for a tax abatement. So do any of you know how this came about? They were so happy to get out of Illinois to have a place to go. They didn't even ask about it when she was involved with it. Was it offered to them?
When our economic development guy stands up, he'll explain all that process.
Who's that?
Matt, yep.
Okay. So the next thing I'm asking about is, why is this called an economic revitalization area? Is that, this isn't a criticism, this is a question. The definition that you put in there for economic revitalization area doesn't describe that.
It's a statutory description. You have to comply with the statute. The council has to make a finding that it's an economic revitalization area to comply with the statute.
Yeah, but doesn't it have to qualify for it? I mean, it says that it wouldn't be developed. the definition unless you did this.
Hasn't been developed.
Yeah.
Right? And then by definition. it
No,
hasn't been
but
developed.
there's no reason to give it, to get to qualify, or,
It has been vacant.
define it as that.
It has been vacant for well over 10 years. Completely vacant.
It's been farmed.
Now, that area really wasn't farmed. That had like soccer fields out in the back, and there was an old truck stop. So that particular site has been very underutilized for a long time.
I'm not gonna support that. Okay.
There's not like an angle to get them more money if you call it a revitalization.
Yeah.
It's no statutory requirements.
So.
So,
There's 100%.
did you, if you're gonna give them a tax abatement, you're also gonna get a payment up front for $435,000?
That's what I was thinking.
And what are you gonna do with that money? Did you decide,
I
or
can take it.
is there anything written down?
No.
I think Matt can help explain some of that, what the discussions have been. I know that Commissioner Tippy has met with Rose Morrow and Chris Gamblin and with Andy Anderson. So there have been discussions about that economic development corridor there and how we're going to utilize that to be good neighbors and make sure that we're taking care of the public entities in that area too.
I should have started the meeting with Matt explaining the project.
It'll be fine with him.
Yeah.
Answering questions.
The only thing is that if you wanna pass give them the abatement today, don't you think it would be nice, and maybe he already did it, have something nailed down on how the money's gonna be spent? I mean, okay, we're gonna take the money, but whoever, the squeaky wheels get the grease and everybody else is out of luck.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
435.
For a 90.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ron, I'll yield the floor.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask if Matt can come and do the overview, maybe that can
Yes.
clear up some of the questions that the audience may have, and then open it back up for the public portion at that time. So if there's any
I'm
questions.
gonna relinquish to Matt, but I might wanna have something to say after he gets done, so.
Might answer those questions.
Madam Chair, I'm with Councilman Brewer. I mean, I came in here, Matt, not prepared to support this because first off, I'm married to a school teacher, that taught in the Lowell school systems. I won't support anything that's gonna take a dollar or a penny away from the schools. We've already damaged them enough. After hearing some of this, realizing that this was vacant land, what I need to focus on is with the development, the future development and the increase in its taxable, what is that offset? What is that amount? Will the schools, I can't see where the gentleman went there. And then will that, with the development, will that increase the draw, not decrease the draw? And that's the question I want to hear answer. I'd like to have answered too.
Can I just real quick interject, Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the things that I think is difficult in any sort of development, economic development of any type, whether it be residential or commercial, is that when we have big growth in assessed value, it doesn't mean that every unit of government gets a big cash payment when that assessed value goes up. Your levy only grows by the MLGQ, maximum levy growth quotient. So you could have $1 billion dumped into your area and it will lower the rate. It won't give you any extra operating cash, period. So doing a structured economic development program like this actually gives you some cash up front to work with. And then if you look at the table of what the property tax collections will be over that 10 years, that will also help to lower the tax rate incrementally each year. So then it gives more cap space. You don't create more cash with more taxable property. You create a lower rate. The state, you could grow by 100% in value, and the state's still only going to give you 3% of that.
Increase the AV.
Right, so you can increase the AV by 100% and you're still only going to get what the maximum levy growth quotient says. So the idea that somehow a structure like this is going to steal money from other units is just false. That's not how a rate-based system works in the state of Indiana.
But it could replenish the loss in revenue to the schools. Will it
would.
increase by 3%? Is that offset enough to
Well, they
Or it
will
won't
get that
take any more.
increase anyways. The only thing that this does with assessed value is affects the tax rate. The tax rate in that area is very low already.
Right.
And if we handle this economic development corridor right, and we have a lot of assessed value that comes into it over the next 5 years, you could have a situation where, in the long run, it could lower the effective property tax rate for your average resident and farm out there to next to nothing. But to get that started, you do the structure like this, get some cash up front that otherwise you wouldn't have. Like this idea that somehow when you add assessed value, everybody gets to share in this revenue is just not true.
Right.
Because the state limits that revenue growth.
Sweet.
So this won't take anything away from any school system, any government unit. All it's doing is limiting the AV growth over the first few years of it. And then it's going to be dumped on by year 8, 100%. So, but Matt, you
It's not
can,
100% for the time of the abatement.
no, Matt can describe this whole process.
Thank you, council members. So when, a couple years ago, or 2.5, the developer came in by the name of Venture One and said, I'm interested in this, and began the process with the plan commission. They needed to get property rezoned. Locations at 2 and 65, it's 235.
Make sure you speak up, Matt.
I'm sorry, 235 acres at 2 and 65, okay? The project property is relatively unused, and as a result has a minimal assessed valuation. And I would just want to kind of back up a little bit to talk about the superintendent's concerns. I share a lot of concerns of what Indianapolis did. But there's no effective way other than to have a referendum for schools to get capital. They made it that way. This body had nothing to do with it. That's the structure. Using what Commissioner Niemeyer talked about, dumping a bunch of assessed value. Oh, sorry, Councilman. You got a promotion.
Don't promote.
Sorry about that.
I'm sitting at the end of the dais.
Dumping in a bunch of assessed valuation doesn't equate to dollars to taxing districts. Doesn't matter. You're limited by the tax caps and levy limitations, period. That's it. So, you know, it says tax abatement and people throw it around, and that's how it's described. Tax abatement. I'm abating something. Somebody's not getting something. Well, the reality is it's a phase in of paying taxes, phasing in, and you're always getting more. So let me start with this. Every taxing unit doesn't lose anything when this happens. They don't. It stays the same. They always get that. Furthermore, any increase in land value happens, that also gets distributed to the overlay. When I say distributed, I'm talking about that assessed value getting thrown into the big pile of assessed value, divided by the amount of funds that are allowed to be garnered by a levy, and that gives you a tax rate. So you add your tax rate to their tax rate, to their tax rate, and we're adding up everybody's tax rate. Goes in their township and everybody. And the tax rate at this location is $1.83 at this location. That includes all the taxpayers. So that gets everybody their budget numbers. So when a project comes in like this, what does it do? And to answer this young lady's question over here, yes, the company asked for the incentives, the end user. And I'll get to that in a moment. So as they're going through their planning process and meeting all the requirements from the Plan Commission, and then meeting the requirements from the state of Indiana with regard to ingress, egress, safely route to and access, and doing all that, and doing their and providing their stormwater prevention pollution plan to be approved. And they do all, they're grinding through all this stuff. And this is again over a 2.5 year period. We sit down and the company says, hey, look, this is a competitive project. And this is why the state of Indiana is also involved in this as well. And says, we're looking at other places. And what do you think about this place? And what we did was, based on their investment, analyze the project in a vacuum. So if a company said, I'm going to spend $125 million, what would that mean? And I said, well, in what? And I said, well, it's about $100 million to build a building of 1 million square feet. It's great. I take that information, I get a comp. Well, luckily for the region, there are comps of new buildings that are 1 million square feet. So with that, I get an assessed valuation of $63 million, plus or minus. And then I apply the tax rate to it. So in theory, that's the amount of money the government gets, in theory. Now, that's in fact what the company pays. Yeah, they pay that. With what was proposed here and the proposed agreement, these things happen. One, the developer says, we agree with you elected officials here on the use of local labor. We agree that we will sign a project labor agreement. We agree that we will, at the urgence of the carpenters and John Carr and working with Councilman Niemeyer, hey, also make sure the carpenters are included in this. So that was part of what we gave back to the company, said, here's all the things that we want you to do to be able for us to consider approving this. And so they agreed to that. And embedded in the approval, should the council act on it, and the statement of benefits says those things. You will do all these things, and you will give the county $435,000 in fee, that the statutory requirement says you are to use those funds in that area for economic development and area development purposes. Now, that's a broad definition, which leads to the opportunity to help with township and school and those items and infrastructure if you want. I always look at this as the increase, what happened. So the existing conditions are you have 235 acres assessed at 2,200, maybe if it's active farm. You have aggressive, I shouldn't say aggressive, that's not fair. You have property owners that are availing themselves to deductions they may get for unused land or undervalued land. So what was proposed is somebody's going to spend $225 million. Somebody's going to spend roughly 45 to 50% of that on local building trades. They're going to be signatory to that. So some of the people in the audience, those people can work, making sure that happens. Along with that, they're going to hire 150 full-time jobs to work at the facility, which there are now 0. They're going to pay $9.7 million in wages, which now there are 0. So the county also gets income tax. Let's not forget about that. Just to circle back, and it sounds like money is being given away. Nobody's giving any money except the company. What's proposed is, as the council's aware, the overlapping taxing districts might be aware, the state of Indiana seems to be working towards phasing out personal property, which is a pretty significant part, especially in Northwest Indiana, of tax base. They're gonna have to figure out how to fix that.
I can't hear you. Can you say that again?
I said the Indiana General Assembly has eroded the personal property tax base, and they'll continue to do so, which is part of how the tax rate is generated. So machinery and equipment, the idea is to quit taxing that. Along with, I'm not going to editorialize about this. I'm not focused on this. I'll say this. Based on this project and what was proposed, I know these things. One, they agreed to a project labor agreement with the building trades that included the carpenters. I think the council might remember the last project, there was some concern about racking and equipment being set. Carpenters asked, working with Randy, John Carr, and Nick with the carpenters, hey, we need to fix this. You got fixed. After that, again, 150 jobs, 9.7 million in wages, and the taxes that this will generate and I said, if you look at it in a vacuum, it says, boy, your tax bill every year at this location is $1.182556. That's $1 million. That's what it is. But it's in a vacuum, which doesn't work like that. Company's gonna get assessed at, let's just say, using the comp, $63,510,000 applies the tax rate, and that's the dollar amount. So here's really what I think people want to know. Over the time of the incentive, this company will pay $7.2 million in tax. They will pay that. Right now, nobody's paying that. That no assessed value, nobody can get. And I'm just going to back up a little bit because this is an important point. You don't get to get, nobody gets to get any more money. That's not what happens. Downward pressure gets put on tax rates. But you're already at tax cap. So if you follow me just a minute, if you're a residential house, the tax rate's already 1.83. You don't pay 1.83. You pay 1%. So it's never going to, I shouldn't say never. It's not likely, with the exception of $10 billion of new assessed valuation coming into a particular area in the county, that you would have any kind of substantive impact to a tax rate. It's just mathematically almost impossible.
Madam Chair, if I might, I'm glad you're touching on this because there is a lot of confusion out there about how a rate-based system works. Like if this was a millage-based system, that's completely different. Then you're actually taking real assessed value and creating revenue with it. Where what this is taking assessed value and creating a rate. So the government units will only get the increase in cash that the state allows.
Yep.
The taxpayers, the individual taxpayers, whether they be farm, business, or residential, if the rate is lowered, if their assessed value doesn't go up more than what the rate is lowered, they could see a slight tax benefit, which is good. That's also at the theory at the end of something like this, when you dump the entirety of assessed value into the system, then that has that real downward rate pressure that's going to positively impact the taxpayers in the area. But thank you, Matt. Go ahead.
So that's the essence of the proposal and the dollar amounts and how it works. The net benefit projected to the company, kind of net savings, is a little bit over $5 million. That's between real and personal property. The benefit to the county is 7.2 million, $9.7 million in new wages and 150 jobs, plus all the wages paid to the construction industry while the project's being built. So those are the benefits to the jurisdiction in that area. To be more specific about why it's called an economic revitalization area, that's what's in the statute and that's what it's called. I've often found that it's kind of it's just their definition of a boundary. And the boundary for this particular project is the legal description for just this. So it's not a wider area or a broader area. It's the same thing that this council approved a similar process with the cold storage, with the exception of the following. We included the carpenters and we included a fee to the county for that. So we're able to kind of make it a little better and more favorable to the taxing bodies.
Okay, real quick,
Yes.
Matt, just to super simplify it, and I know I believe the superintendent understands this. There's not going to be $1 less for the Tri-Creek schools because of this abatement.
No.
Go ahead. Are you gonna say more?
No, thanks.
Anyone else want to speak? Yes. Yes, you can come over.
My name is Christopher Gamlin. I live in Lowell. I'm the Lowell Fire Chief and an employee of the town of Lowell. I'm not really here to discuss a lot or talk a lot about the tax rates and how money comes into the system. It's more of being able to provide a service to anything that you're putting out in the commercial district out there, or the commercial area. That area is primarily served by all volunteer fire departments. The town of Lowell has started hiring full-time admin staff. I'm one of those in the past 2 years. We have a deputy chief. We've worked and had a great audience with the 3 commissioners last year about some of the needs that the volunteer fire departments have. And through Randy and Jerry, we're able to communicate equipment needs. However, really it comes down to fire service is a burden of the township. And it's a burden of or responsibility of towns and cities. And so as you build out into Eagle Creek Township, the fire service and what we have to do to provide an adequate fire response is shouldered on the township trustee. And while no money is coming out of the system and the tax base and things like that, the very buildings and the very things that are going out there exceed our ability to protect. Staffing is always an issue, right? Dr. Anderson had talked about the residential TIF that the town of Lowell will enjoy and look at. They plan on using a substantial amount of that money for public safety. But in order for the fire, police, and EMS to gain, Dr. Anderson must lose, right? And it's hard because we're all kind of on the same team at some point, right? And again, that's a state legislature and a state initiative for us to compete. What I would ask, and I feel that I'm being heard at the commission level and certainly at the council level with Councilman Niemeyer, is that as we look and we grow that particular district, there is no feasible way for Eagle Creek Township to be able to even do capital improvements in the fire service to protect those industries. I think that conversation and kind of the same thing I told the commissioners is Lake County, by enjoying the several things that are coming out to that corridor, must realize you are in the fire business at some point. The township is not able to purchase equipment, purchase things at any levy that would require, because we can build it a lot faster than we can allocate. The town of Lowell is committed to try to solve the staffing problem. We have auto aid agreements with every fire department, from Grant Park to Cedar Lake to Lake Township, Shelby, Schneider, Lakedale, Hebron. We run an auto aid means when they get paid, we get paid, because we are a combination department. We do have part-time staffing at the Lowell Firehouse because of the local income tax and the public safety piece that the town of Lowell enjoys from Lake County. So by virtue, by your local income tax, public safety, we are ensuring that when the volunteer fire departments cannot respond, especially during the day, we are going. So you are in the fire business, but it may be a little bit to the point where you don't recognize that. At the end of the day, I feel that as we look towards further growth, and that's really what my closing piece is that we're able to talk about the emergency services out there and plan with some of these fees or different ways to look at it. We're not asking you to buy a $2 million truck, but the township is not able to purchase industrial equipment. In March of 2022, Plainfield, Indiana had the Walmart fire, and that was in a 1.4 square million feet Walmart storage facility, and you may saw it on the news. 1.2 is very similar, water suppression, and that was a full-time territory fire department that threw 60, 70 firefighters at it, and they made a documentary about it because it didn't go well. So thank you for your time. I appreciate being heard. Thank you.
Appreciate the concern.
Madam Chair, if I could address
Yes,
a
go ahead.
couple of
Please.
Chief Gamblin's points. Thank you, Chief. I always love to see you at these meetings. You articulate your points very well. One of the most talented fire chiefs we have here in Northwest Indiana, so happy to have you in my district. Looking out in the big picture, right? The county redid their comprehensive plan, I believe, in 2018 and identified that 65 corridor and Route 2 as a commercial area, right? So that's the target area. So looking at the big picture is how do we take care of some of those things that Dr. Anderson has concerns with, that you have concerns with, that everybody around there that relies on local government services has legitimate concerns with? Well, it's going to be through working with development partners. I'm going to rewind back to when I was in Cedar Lake. My first year on the council, 2011, we had no municipal fire department, it was all volunteer. By 2013, we had brought the volunteer fire department into the town. And we had 6 full-time people and a chief. And by the time I left, we had right around 15 full-time and chief, and they were ambulance and fire. How did we do that? Well, we did it with growth. Those building fees that you collect on new homes, let's just call it 15 grand a home. That goes into miscellaneous revenue. We used every penny of it for public safety. every penny. That was how we grew that service. The same concept applies in an economic revitalization area, is that you work with development partners on the front end. It's been pretty well publicized. Hobart is looking at a front end payment somewhere in the 9 figures. That's the type of stuff that's out there right now. And while those aren't sustainable numbers, because it's a payment, right? When you do eventually dump that AV onto the system, it lowers the tax burden tremendously, creates cap space where if you need to invest in capital, you can now issue bonds because you have the space to do that. You have the available rate to do that. So the big picture of this is, let's figure out with the template that we're developing here with the folks with Venture One, how do we create a productive partnership that takes care of those concerns? You and I had a great conversation on the phone talking about exactly that. It's not going to be a quick fix. There is no undoing the damage, as Dr. Anderson pointed out, of SEA 1. It has created a loss of growth for every taxing unit. Lake County's going to lose a tremendous amount in this next budget cycle, not lose levy, but lose growth, right? The growth that we would normally get is just flatlined and disappearing. So looking at opportunities that we have here in what I think is a county in Indiana that's primed to be an absolute boom county.
In the state wanted.
If we do this right,
They voted for Ron and they voted for these people.
we can-
They wanted that flag.
we can buoy some of those needs. We can relieve that pressure. And then once all of that taxable AV hits the system, while we won't realize really that much more in tax collection, it'll be spread out over more units. So that'll lower the amount per unit that's paid. So in general, that is the philosophy that we're employing here. And Commissioner Tippy and I have been in lockstep on that, that we don't want any of the stakeholders in this process to feel like this is just some big economic development party like what you see the IEDC doing around the state. This is more about taking care of the needs of the communities that we serve. So that is always going to be a part of this. As long as I'm sitting here, we're going to negotiate with these development partners in that way to make sure that we have, that we're addressing those short-term and long-term need, and where we can use money to invest in capital. That is something that's very advantageous to the taxing units. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council. Nick Pollock, I'm with the Central Midwest Regional Council of Carpenters. Actually a resident of Michigan City. However, my office is here in Maryville, and I represent over 1,000 hardworking men and women in Lake County alone. I had no intentions of speaking today, but I felt compelled after Mr. Reardon's report to let everybody know that, you know, our whole thing is, I appreciate the fact that the carpenters were written into this project, into this ordinance, because a lot of people don't realize we're not part of the building trades anymore. So when the building trades are added to these projects, who's ever not a member of the building trades may not be included. Also, what was pointed out was we did have a job action on the cold storage here down in Lowell off of Highway 2, just on our side, I-65. And what we see is when all the 100% of the construction is not covered in a project labor agreement or in one of these responsible bidder ordinances, we see out-of-town workers come in to do this work. Well, when those out-of-town workers come in to do the work, the people that are living here supporting our communities, they're not on those jobs, they're not working. Then they're able to contribute less to the community, right? So our whole stance on this is the more community members that we get on these construction projects, the more we're able to give back to our communities. And people who are familiar with the Central Midwest Regional Council of Carpenters know that we are strong supporters of our communities. And one thing I like to say to Dr. Anderson, is it? Some of our best members come from Lowell. CTE program that they have down at Lowell is amazing.
Yes.
And between that and the building trades that we get, the students out of down there, top notch. And jobs like this gives students like that are graduating from these local school districts an opportunity to work right in their hometown. And that's what we want to see. We want to use local labor to keep the money in our locals
And making a good wage.
and a good living wage while they're doing it. Yes, thank you.
Anyone else? Volunteer.
The only concern is with 1001, are they gonna destroy our public school systems anyway? Seems like the state legislators are out to destroy the public school.
You gotta come stand by
So
me.
then where are we gonna put our, we can't build public, you're not gonna.
I get
to
to,
build
I get to
charter.
watch.
Just build public school.
Your agenda here.
Love the dissension.
I'll wait till Ted's done.
Glad to see everybody's united, to understand that the legislators are working.
He's a
against us.
teamster, right?
I know, they talk a lot. Well, they're in a truck all day, so that's what they have to do. They have to talk. Madam Chair, County Council, thank you. I rise in support. Randy Palmetier, Business Manager, Northwestern Indiana Building and Construction Trades Council. I represent roughly 30,000 members in 4 counties, and the 14 other trades are in the room. I echo Nick Pollock's sentiments, also Matt Reardon's, and I want to point out that Venture One's been great to work with. We do have a project labor agreement. Everybody throws RBO and PLA around. I was told by Mr. Zarmak I talk too fast, so I'm going to explain a little slower. Project labor agreement does ensure the local workforce, the carpenters are part of that. If there's a PLA on a job in the county, they will be part of it. So I want to clear that up. There is a project labor agreement signed on this project with the help of Mr. Reardon, Mr. Weiser, and working with Venture One. We also had the equipment and the racking added to that PLA. We do have an ordinance up here for a project labor agreement, but that'll be another day. So I just want to rise in support of the revitalization area and the incentives. And I don't like calling it tax abatement either. I think it's a terrible phrase word. I think the incentives.
Yeah, it's
just a bad, it sounds bad.
It's more of just a short-term business
Correct.
structure is what
Right.
it is, because
They pay it back. So
Yeah.
just structured. Anyway, and I think with the revitalization area and or TIF district, whatever they want to call that, you're going to have more controlled development. You guys have more say on it. So I wholeheartedly support that. And I did when I was on the Lake County redevelopment for 8 years. I supported TIF in a lot of them areas. And I do support the local schools, so don't take me wrong on that. So anyway, I hope you guys pass it. I support it. Venture One, like I said, has been great to work with. And you guys, I can't thank you guys enough. Without you guys, a lot of that stuff wouldn't have happened. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council?
we have a couple people over
Oh.
here, Christine.
I'm township, my name is Heidi Lobb, I'm the West Creek Township trustee, so there's 3 townships, I'm one of them. I dealt with the residential TIF in Lowell, and I get incentivizing and trying to get building and things like that. I don't know if it's necessary in our town, I think people are gonna come and build anyways, but that's neither here nor there. I lost a lot of money when they developed farmland, and they said I wasn't gonna lose money because that wasn't worth what it's, it's worth what it was worth. And then when they build on it, it's worth more. So I'm not collecting that property tax in order to pay for like our ambulance. I now have to go to the town and ask, hey, we have to buy an ambulance. Can you give me 200,000? It's an extra step. The problem with getting lump sums is you can't budget for it. I have a contract. I contract with 3 fire departments. We own part of the ambulance. It just makes it, and I don't know what the right is here. I just want to let you guys know, it makes it really hard for budgeting purposes for the townships and the schools, the more money that we lose through these TIFs and these tax abatements and all that kind of stuff. That's all I want to.
Heidi?
Yes.
Madam Chair? So when land is farmland
Right.
and then a developer buys it, and let's say they build $50 million worth of homes on it,
Mhm.
and it's taxed at 1.5%. Let's
Mhm.
just call it that's the rate that's applied to it. That comes out to what, about $750,000? That money is not divvied up amongst the units. That's actually used to lower the rate. So whether that was farmland or houses on it, the only increase in cash you're getting from the state is the maximum levy growth quotient.
But you're still getting.
Right, but you're gonna get that anyways. you're still going to get your 3% growth. It's not going to go away. It's just the rate will be different because the assessed value is not being applied to the tax rate. So your rate will be flat instead of going down. It doesn't change the amount of cash coming into your system of government.
I don't understand how that's possible when you have a house, if you have farm ground, you pay a certain amount of tax on that farm ground, now you sell it, it's now a home worth 300,000, that gets taxed, and then that gets sent to me.
So Lake County's assessed value is what, Scott, around 38 billion, call it 40 billion. And let's say our general fund levy is what, 200 million, right? So that creates a general fund tax rate. That's applied to the 1%, 2%, and 3% payers to create an overall tax rate.
Right.
Let's say all of a sudden the AV of the county doubles. Doesn't mean we're going to get double the money. It means the tax rate would be cut in half.
Okay.
So you don't get more money.
I still don't understand that.
but
My AV
the
goes
state-
up,
the
then I
state-
get more,
The state limits what you can grow in actual cash collection
yeah.
by that maximum levy growth quotient that the IDLGF gives you every year. So that's important to remember in these things, that it's not impacting that at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So would an important way to describe this be, if your levy is $100 and there's one house in there, that one house could, I mean, I'm simplifying this, pay $100.
Yep.
If you built 99 more houses and there's 100 houses,
Each one would pay a buck.
everybody would pay $1.
It wouldn't create more
That's a
revenue.
very basic understanding of how that works.
Yeah, but then you gotta serve 100 people instead of one.
Yes.
No, that's true.
We're putting a burden on the fire departments and the ambulance.
But with economic development,
I think some of it changed.
the burden is in the commercial district, but not serving more people, right? So that's an advantage for the school and the fire department, that you're not creating a larger service area. You're creating more complex service to be.
I understand the point. The point.
I don't want to go back and forth in the audience. If you want to come up, right.
The fire department and the ambulance in our area and the trustees are saying.
Alice, could you come up so we can hear you on that mic?
This gentleman wants.
It's okay.
We'll get Paul.
Sorry. I think what we're trying to get
This is,
across,
for the record, it's Alice Dahl,
Cedar Creek Township.
Township trustee.
I think what we're trying to say is we're in need. You got the residential tax that took away from us. And now we're trying to get, we're gonna put the burden, we're gonna come to you and ask you guys to help us. Because we can't afford to pay the ambulance. We can't afford to pay the fire department. They don't have full-time people in law. I don't, and what we're trying to get across to everybody is that we need money.
Okay.
And the government,
And
and
we
that's the
have,
government.
and we have always
Yeah.
shared.
Yes. And public safety is so much help.
Yes,
We,
have-
the townships,
always-
my township went ahead and hired a fireman.
yes.
But now you're putting,
Voluntarily done.
yes, but you're, the town of Lowell and everybody's putting these subdivisions in, you're putting in the cold storage, you're putting in John Deere, which we're happy for all this. But we're saying that we cannot service them. That's all we're trying, that's all I want to say, is that we want money to service them. You're asking us to give you the service, but we don't have any to give to.
I understand that, but this deal is taking no money away from
Yes,
anyone,
and
right?
we understand
Doesn't-
that.
Doesn't take any money away.
That's more burden, that's all we're saying.
Right, but that's also why we negotiate an economic development payment on the front end,
Okay.
so we can work to relieve some of that burden.
And I hope you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope you give it to where it needs to go.
Mhm.
Okay, that's it.
I gotta go. I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.
Sir? you wanna-
Somebody else want to talk before Paul?
Jump in.
Madam Chair, Council, I appreciate having the opportunity to speak today. Took time off my lunch hour, that's why I was a little late. Paul Panzik, Lakedale, Carlia, South County, unincorporated. So
He's also one of our plan commission members.
thank you. So couple things. This has gone in a few different directions. I appreciate the open forum. It's probably good. So I support the project and the agreement. Reason being is you need to court these kind of big fish. And if you want to catch a big fish, you got to spend money on a nice rod and a fancy lure. And you spend that money up front, you hook that big fish and you'll feed everybody, right? That's how it works. That's the simplest way to put this. You could say no to a tax abatement, and this developer that's courting the county will just go somewhere else. Or they're going to play the field and you can't blame them to do so. So, you know, the net result is if you don't do the tax abatement, there's never any tax add to the assessed value or opportunity to work with that. The other part of it is having an agreement in place allows you the leverage to help the skilled labor. So I totally support them being used in this project. I'd hate to see them come in here and not want to work a deal with the county and try to do it with their own people in their own way. So the right way to do it is to get some skin in the game. So then you could dictate who's going to be working on it, the carpenters and the skilled labor. So everyone wins with this. You end up with a higher assessed value. Now, the issue with the townships. So the town of Lowell and other towns are in a different position. They're just going full blown with the residential tips, and then they could dump a lot of that money into public safety. This is unincorporated, so you have the townships trying to cover it. And I've sat in some EMS meetings with the Tri-Creek, so I know some of their challenges. Know the trustees as well too. So Eagle Creek's unique. It's not going to be annexed into any town. It's going to be yours. So you need to cover that fire and EMS. You're going to have to come up with a long-term plan on how to do that. Now, I've heard a lot of negative talk about SEA 1, but here's a constructive piece of it. You have the ability through your LIT to allocate, I believe it's 0.2, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 0.2 of your LIT can go to fire and EMS. And I think going forward, that's going to have to be looked at to try to support those unincorporated areas of South County that are never going to be annexed and covered by a municipal body. So you can help to cover these gaps because they're going to be there. You're going to have John Deere, you're going to have possibly other things coming through that are going to have to be covered. And Alice and Heidi and Rosemary do not have the budget to do that. So, and you'll have some room in your LIT again, because of SCA 1, you have that replacement dropping off, right? So you're going to gain a lot of headroom. So I'm all for lowering that income tax. I'd love to keep more of my own money, but you may have to allocate a little bit to take care of that corridor because that is going to pop. It's in our comp plan, and I expect to see things up and down I-65. So hopefully you could use those tools and help these folks with that and nurture this development. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak?
I think Lorraine wants to finish from earlier.
Okay, so here's what, I'm Lorraine Bank, I'm South County resident, Eagle Creek. So you think that that's gonna lower my tax rate if the rate spread out across the base, but then you're hoping that the assessed value is gonna raise my taxes. Is that what I got out of?
Not at all.
More assessed value.
More assessed value.
Down.
Yep. That's the goal.
Yeah, it's always been.
Okay, I got two more things to bring up to you. That I thought, remember I told you that I don't really have a big problem with John Deere, just the way the whole thing's being approached. So.
Well, that's why we're having a public hearing,
Okay.
right?
So you sent out this package to all the township trustees. The maps are illegible.
Totally illegible. That's why it says you should go to the assessor if you have any other questions about it.
How about when you do this again, that you put the links, so you could just type them in there and click them up?
Yeah, I blame Matt Reardon for that.
Because I didn't even know where to go to get them, because I couldn't tell what they were supposed to be. And
I do like that.
And since you're gonna be bringing in all this new revenue and there's gonna be all this business activity, please do not get offended, but you should be able to pass a state audit for the auditor's office. All this money that you're talking about that you're gonna be bringing in, that should be accounted for properly.
What's your allocation on that, lady? You're saying that we're still in money? What are you trying to say to me right now?
The auditors need to pass.
Didn't pass the state audit, the auditor flunked you.
We didn't fail an audit,
Their findings.
and we've addressed them. We've been audited. I've been up here 20 years and we've been audited every year. by the state Board of Accounts. Any malfeasance, we'd all be responsible for it. I don't appreciate an allocation of malfeasance.
Well, I'll send you what I got.
I don't need you to send me anything. I don't.
You don't want-
I want you to. No, I don't.
You got anything else, Ray?
No,
Okay.
I don't think I do.
I know I don't.
Thank you.
All right, any further public comment? Councilman, hearing none? Oh.
One thing in closing, listen, I really appreciate the input, the dialogue from various interests, right? I think it's what we've seen in failures around the state in these sorts of economic development opportunities is a lack of opportunity for people to learn about it, express themselves, have their questions answered. Most of the time, councils will sit up here and not answer questions. I think it's important for us to have these forums like this, and we want to gain confidence in this process because there's a tremendous opportunity here to do things that lower the tax burden on the individual taxpayer, plus take care of those services that Alice and Heidi and Chris and Dr. Anderson have all articulated so well. So thank you all for participating in this process, and we hope that you find opportunities to partner with the end user individually as well in the long run, because what I know about John Deere is they're very good corporate partners to the surrounding communities. So there's more opportunities there in the long run in individual relationships. So I hope you take those opportunities. Thank you.
The concerns have been heard, and they haven't gone on deaf ears. Roll call, please.
Motion to approve the resolution. Did somebody make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for an economic revitalization area and for real property tax and personal property tax deductions.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Brewer,
Yes.
Lindamotor,
Yes.
Bldg,
Yes.
Neemeyer.
Yes.
Sid.
Yes. Okay, with that, I want to welcome John Deere to our community.
Could you ask if a company
Yes.
rep could say a few words? Yeah, we want them on the record.
Yeah, I'm Justin Galante. I'm with the developer Venture One. I would just say thank you everyone for our hard work. This was a multi-state search for their next location, but Lake County's labor, the trades, and the incentives that we all collaborated together on were a big decision to come here to Lake County. We're working through approval with the state and looking forward to breaking ground this spring. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, roll call, please. Oh, we did roll call. Okay.
Did you want to?
We now move on to item 2 on our agenda.
Madam Chairman, on this, I know there's been some discussion about having some ordinances ready for today. Ray was kind of taking the lead on it. He is off sick today. Randy, I know, has been working with Ray. I'm going to kind of take a little more of a lead on this with Randy and see if we can get it ready for the February. So I'd ask us to defer this to the February meeting.
Yes.
Madam Chair, make a motion to defer to February.
Motion's been made. Seconded. So all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Aye. I got